Your 401k is a trap, and the math proves it. There's a woman I want you to think about. Her name is Karen. She's 58 years old, works in HR at a mid-size manufacturing company in Ohio, and for the last 32 years, she has done everything right. She maxed out her 401k every single year she could afford to. She never touched it. She didn't panic sell in 2008 or 2020 or during any of the corrections in between. She let it compound. And this year, she finally hit the number she always dreamed about, $800,000 in her 401k. She printed out the statement, she called her daughter, she cried. Then she sat down with a fee-only financial planner for the first time in her life, and the planner ran the numbers. And in about 20 minutes, Karen found out that she doesn't actually have $800,000. Not really. After taxes on every withdrawal, after the fund expense ratios she never knew she was paying, after the invisible drag of decades of fees compounding in the wrong direction, the planner's estimate came back closer to $520,000 in real, spendable after-tax purchasing power. And that's if the market cooperates. That's if she doesn't get hit by a bad sequence of returns in the first 5 years she starts drawing down. Karen did everything right, and the system still got her. Here's what nobody tells you. The 401k isn't a retirement vehicle. It's a tax deferral mechanism dressed up as a retirement vehicle, and the distinction matters enormously. The government doesn't give you a tax break because they love you. They give you a tax break because it's better for them if you pay taxes later, when rates might be higher, when you have less leverage, when you can't put the money back in. And the financial industry built an entire ecosystem around a product they don't own, don't service for free, and have quietly extracted trillions of dollars from over the past 40 years. I want to be clear about what today's video is and isn't. This isn't me telling you to stop contributing to your 401k. That would be genuinely terrible advice for most people, and I'm not going to give it to you. What I am going to do is show you the math they don't put in the brochure. By the end of this, you're going to understand exactly how the fee structure inside most 401k plans works and why it costs the average American somewhere between $150,000 and $400,000 over a career. You're going to understand the sequence of returns trap, which is the single most dangerous risk you'll face in retirement, and also the one that gets almost no airtime. You're going to understand the tax bracket time bomb that's sitting inside every traditional 401k and IRA in America, and why the conventional wisdom about traditional versus Roth might be exactly backwards for you depending on your situation. And finally, I'll give you 3 concrete things you can actually do about all of this today, not someday. By the way, I put together a free 401k real cost calculator because every online calculator I've ever seen shows you the growth side and completely ignores the extraction side. It runs Vanguard-based expense ratio comparisons, models your likely tax bracket at retirement, and shows you what your balance actually looks like in after-tax purchasing power. I only ask for your email to send the report. I don't store your financial data. Link in the description. Now, let's talk about the vending machine. You know how a vending machine works. You put money in, the machine holds it. When you want something, you push a button and it dispenses. Simple, convenient. And the machine takes a cut every single time, sometimes visibly, usually not. Your 401k is a vending machine. You put money in, the machine holds it. 30 years later, you push a button and it dispenses. But here's the thing about this particular vending machine that most people never look at. There are 3 separate parties standing between you and your money, and all 3 of them charge you all the time, regardless of how the market performs. The machine doesn't care if you're up 20% or down 40%. The machine charges you every single day the money is inside it. The first party is the fund company. Every mutual fund or ETF inside your 401k has an expense ratio. It's expressed as a percentage, 0.03% for a Vanguard index fund, maybe 0.85% for an actively managed fund, potentially over 1% for some target date funds, depending on the plan. Those numbers sound tiny. They're not tiny. Over 30 years, a 1% expense ratio on a $500,000 final balance doesn't cost you $5,000. It costs you something closer to $150,000 or more in lost compounding. Because you're not paying 1% of what you put in. You're paying 1% of the entire growing balance every year, forever, whether you're watching or not. The second party is the plan administrator. This is the company your employer hired to run the 401k plan. Fidelity, Vanguard, Empower, Schwab, Principal, a dozen others. They charge record-keeping fees. Sometimes those fees are transparent. More often, they're embedded in the fund costs in what's called a revenue sharing arrangement. The fund company kicks back a portion of their expense ratio to the plan administrator, and you never see a line item for it because technically the plan administrator is being paid by the fund, not you, except you're the one whose returns are being diluted. The third party is sometimes an advisor or financial consultant who gets a commission for putting the plan together in the first place. Sometimes they charge an ongoing AUM fee. Sometimes they're paid through those same revenue sharing arrangements. And sometimes your employer is getting some kind of credit or benefit from the arrangement too, which is one of the reasons so many small and medium company 401k plans are full of high-cost funds that your HR department never questioned because nobody in HR is a financial analyst. Here's the math you should actually run. Let's take two workers. Both make $80,000 a year. Both contribute 10% of their salary, $8,000 annually, into their 401k for 35 years. Both earn the same average gross return, 7% per year. The only difference is the total expense ratio inside the plan. Worker A is in a low-cost plan, Vanguard style, with a total cost of 0.10%. Worker B is in an average cost corporate plan with a total cost of 1.0%. After 35 years, Worker A has approximately $1,227,000. After 35 years, Worker B has approximately $1,058,000. That's a gap of $169,000 just from fees, not from timing, not from stock picks, not from any decision Worker B made badly. Just from the cost structure of the machine they were required to use. Now run that comparison at 1.5% total cost. That's not unusual. That's actually common in small business plans, where the employer went with whatever broker walked in the door first. Now the gap is closer to $250,000, $250,000 paid to the vending machine operators invisibly, 1 basis point at a time. This is what I mean when I say the math doesn't lie. Karen wasn't robbed in any dramatic sense. There was no fraud. Nobody broke in and took her money. The machine just did what machines do. It extracted its cut every day for 32 years, and nobody ever showed her the total tab. Now let's talk about something even more dangerous than fees, because fees are a slow drain. What I'm about to explain is a cliff. It's called sequence of returns risk, and it's the single most misunderstood concept in retirement planning. And the reason it matters so much right now in 2026 is that we're sitting at valuations where the historical probability of a bad first decade of retirement is higher than it's been in about 25 years. Here's how sequence of returns risk works. Most retirement planning models show you an average rate of return over time, let's say 7% per year, and they show you withdrawing 4% annually, the famous 4% rule, which we'll get to, and they show your portfolio lasting 30 years. Looks great on a spreadsheet, but the 7% average isn't a straight line. Some years you get 18%, some years you get negative 30%. And it turns out that the order in which those returns occur matters enormously, especially in the first decade of retirement. Because once you start withdrawing from a portfolio, a down year doesn't just cost you the percentage loss. It costs you the percentage loss plus the withdrawal you just took. And that double damage in down years permanently shrinks the base that future recoveries have to work with. Let me make this completely concrete. Two people retire on the same day with the same $1 million, same average return over 30 years, 7%, same 4% annual withdrawal, $40,000. The only difference is the order of returns. Person A has a good run early, 15%, 12%, 18% in years 1 through 3, then faces a brutal crash later in retirement. Person B faces the brutal crash first, down 35%, down 22%, flat, and then has the good years later. Same average return, same withdrawal rate. After 30 years, Person A still has $932,000. Person B ran out of money at year 19. That's not a rounding error. That's not a technicality. That's an 11-year gap in how long your money survives, purely because of the order in which the market performed.